Hello and welcome to Hollowponds Solo Sagas, and today should be the 1st of January 2025, so Happy New Year to you. Now today would be one of the normal videos that I release, which is the how-to things, but what I thought I'd do now is I would recap all of the games that we played on the channel during 2024 and give you a bit of a review, my thoughts on those games. I'm going to structure it in the ones that I have enjoyed playing, as quite honestly I have enjoyed playing everything that I've played this year. All of the games that I've played through this year, and we might cover some of the tail end of 2023, but all of the games in 2024 that I've played have been awesome and I really love them. But some of them I might not play again. And the reason I wouldn't play them again is there's only so much time you got in your life and you pick what you want to do. And so some of them I will 100% play again, like 100%. Some of them I will play again, and others, like if there's nothing else to do, I would play them because I enjoyed them, but I wouldn't prioritize them over other things. So we're going to structure it with those ones first, then them, and then my favorites at the end. Thank you very much for joining me. I don't know how long this will go for, but if you are enjoying this and you want to see other content I do, either over 2025, and you are not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing. The standard spiel. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for everything over 2024. It has been an awesome ride. It's been fantastic getting to where we are now, and the community that we're building is quite fantastic. Especially can I say thank you to the Adventurers Guild, who have helped support me and help by providing financial support, which actually does help. And actually does make this much easier to do, and purchasing games and various other things. It makes it a hell of a lot easier to put, and it's a fair chunk of time putting stuff into it, but I love doing this, so thank you very much. So, the games that we played in 2024. There was a total of, hold on, let me check, because I've actually got notes and stuff for this. We played, it doesn't sound that much now, 19 different systems, different games over 2024. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the ones that I probably won't play again. Not because I didn't enjoy them, because I did enjoy them, but I probably won't play them again because of just time commitments and other things. And there being other games that I want to play or start playing because I haven't played yet. So we'll start with one that carried over from 2023. It's not strictly speaking a role-playing game, but it is a narrative skirmish game written by Snarling Badger Games, and that was Majestic 13. Majestic 13 is an excellent little skirmish game that you can do lots of little narratives in, and it really plays well. But now I've played it through, I probably won't play it again. I might play Space Station Zero, which is another one of his games that I began once, and that has a nice storyline. It's a bit choose your own adventure-y. I quite like that, or like Gloomhaven, but I probably won't play Majestic 13 again. Next we have Leechdom. Now Leechdom, I wrote some other notes about things, and so I'm going to refer to those actually as we go. So Leechdom is a bit linear, so it's just on card pulls. It works quite nicely. There's a nice little mechanic to it. I think I got some lucky card pulls the way I played through. I didn't play Leechdom the way it traditionally should be. I played it being Brian Johnson, and I quite liked the twist that I put on it, but I probably wouldn't play Leechdom again. But if you can get hold of it, I would say give it a play. It definitely is a thing to play, just to experience the mechanics and the gameplay, but not one that I think has got a lot of replayability. Good Society. Good Society was an outstanding, I really enjoyed it. We did a short run of it. If you get a chance to watch it, please watch it, because it may not be your normal thing, but you can see somebody who is out of their... I don't mind watching the period drama things. I have, after playing Good Society, I have watched Bridgerton. I didn't watch it before playing Good Society, but I have watched multiple Austins and multiple of the equivalents, particularly back when I lived in England, the BBC adaptations of things. Now, so lots of the ones during the 80s and the 90s. And so Good Society was an incredible experience to go through. It's not made to be a solo playing game. It's made to be a narrative-based group game, but it was a really good experience and I really enjoyed it. I probably won't play it again, not as a solo. I would definitely play it in a group and with people, or maybe with Mandy, but I wouldn't play it as a solo experience. But it was a challenge and I really enjoyed it. Good Society is a good game. Alien. Now that might be a shocker to some people, but the Free League rendition of the Alien role-playing game, I probably won't play again. I really enjoyed it, unless it's for a cinematic story So I won't play it as a campaign play. I think if I was going to do something like Alien in campaign play, and I think I say this in my notes, I would use the Hostile system, which I haven't played yet, but we will be playing in 2025 on the channel. I would use Hostile instead of the Alien role-playing game. But I think the Alien role-playing game by Free League works fantastically for cinematic. I felt in that run that we did for the campaign that the first half, which was campaign play, I mean, we haven't used the solo rules that will be coming out in 2025. The official solo rules for Alien RPG coming out in 2025 may make me change my mind, but at the moment, the solo rules that I have looked at and the way of solo play for Alien, I think Hostile would be better for campaign play. But for cinematic play, oh, it was great. I really enjoyed it. So I might play it for a cinematic story, like a marine-based one, but I probably wouldn't play Alien again just as a campaign. Electric State, which we're still running at the moment, and I haven't finished the campaign. Now, Electric State, I don't think is great for solo play. I think because it's mainly that narrative, character-based interaction drive, if you have a group, I could really see that has longevity to it. As one-off as a solo, it works okay. The solo rules as per in the book, personally, I think need some work. Some of the tables feel half finished, some of the tables are half finished. They haven't got the ending, like you'll get a D66 table and it only goes up to 50 something and it doesn't finish off the table. It feels as though the solo play isn't quite there, but the setting is awesome, it's evocative, it's great. But I don't know if I would invest my time in playing this again. I feel like I'm having to drag the story out of it. It's not flowing out. I'm needing to really drag that story out, and it just feels difficult. It's not unenjoyable, but it just feels difficult. So the Electric State, I probably won't play again, and I'll pay for that. Broken Shores. It was only one episode we played it down here, and that was for Talk Like a Pirate Day. There is a continuation of the story in the members section, if you would like to see the end of that story. Broken Shores, I like the mechanics of Broken Shores, but my lord, it's deadly. The travelling around the oceans is deadly. If I had an afternoon to kill, I probably still would play something else. But it's really good. The artwork is pretty cool. It's pretty cool in a my mate Dave did the cover of my album type way, but it's really evocative of the setting. There's so much thought has gone into the world in that setting. There's the religious sects. It has that feelings of, what was it called? Waterworld with Kevin Costner. It has the feelings of Waterworld. It has the feelings of various other stuff. I got incredibly lucky by finding an island in my first hit. It feels as though the story flows quite nicely, but it is deadly. It's deadly, and not in a way that makes you last very long. It's deadly in a way that you would starve to death or basically die of dehydration, which are all awful ways to die, dehydration particularly. And so I don't know if I'd play it again, but if you get a chance to play it, get it. It's a huge book with loads of detail in, like unbelievable amount of detail in the type of book. The amount of hours that he must have spent in writing that is fantastic, and it's well done. And I mean, I might change my mind for Talk Like a Pirate Day this 2025, not this year, innit? But I probably won't play Broken Shores again, sadly. Now, next two I only played, and you can only see in the private section because I played them actually not solo but with Mandy as co-op, and that is Marching Order. And we got a book of mini games from when we were in Oxford in 2024 in June. Mandy got it for me, a book of, it was 50 like mini games. Both of those are awesome. Marching Order is really good. It's a bit choose your own adventure, but it's really good. But it's good to play with someone else. I don't know if I'd play it by myself as a solo game, but I definitely will play that again with Mandy. We need to finish the story. We still haven't finished the story. And the same with the mini games. I would play those again. They were really fun to play, but with somebody else. I think on my own, it would be a bit difficult, and it's not as full an experience. And if I had the time, like a few minutes spare, I would put that into one of the other campaigns I'm playing rather than those. So those are the games that we have played this year that I probably you won't see again on the channel. And you can go and watch them, maybe, but probably not. The one out of all that list that I'm more than likely to play again is Alien. in a cinematic story. So using one of the cinematic stories and following that through as so basically pre-written material that I will then experience as a solo player, like we did with Chariot of the Gods. Now, here we'll now then we'll pause for a bit, as that went a bit quicker than I was expecting. So this next part, these are the ones that I will most definitely play again, but they are not my top. I have got a top 4. So there are 4 in my top 4, and I've got an honourable mention. I have an honourable mention on a top 4. The top 4 are in no particular order, but when we get to them, you'll see them, and then we have our honourable mention. So again, in no particular order, we have just in basically the list that I've played them. I have not ordered them into these my priorities. I like all of these. We have the first one is Entity. Entity I will play again, and I would spend some time again. It is very prescriptive. It is very much rolling to come out. It's got a mechanic that's a bit like Iron Sworn. Iron Sworn? Yes, in Iron Sworn Starforged. Iron Sworn Starforged. See, that I'll play again, but that was 2023. Actually, I didn't play that this year, but I have these Starforged, basically the Piratey expansion, that I'm going to plan to play again. So Entity, very cool. The artwork in the book is awesome. Peter, who's done the book, it's great. He's got some other games that I will be playing in 2025, but I will play Entity again. I would very much recommend playing Entity. I would also recommend getting the advanced book as well as the basic book. You can play the basic book, but the advanced book does add some colour and depth to the world. It is very much, you pull the narrative out, but it flows a lot easier pulling the narrative out than even like the Free League Electric State. Another one that we will 100% see in 2025, guarantee it, because we've already had 2 seasons of it, is one of the only games that I've played 2 seasons of, Twilight 2000. Now, Twilight 2000 is not in my top 4. Its solo game is good. It's a hex explorer, so it flows really nice as solo play. It's an evocative setting. The setting has a history behind it. It's been played since, 1980s? It's got various different versions of the game. There's a big community of love behind it, and I love the game, but I won't put it in my top 4 or the honourable mention. It's a real solid game. I will definitely play it again. I would prioritise it above other games, and I would recommend anyone to play it, and I enjoy playing it. But there's something about the mechanic of it. I think it's probably the level of crunch. Because of the level of crunch in it and the way I play, I always feel I'm letting it down. I always feel I'm letting the game down, or I'm letting the story down, or I'm letting the tactics down, or there's a part of it which I could do better, which isn't a bad way to be, and it's not a bad way to feel. But personally, I just have that feeling. But I like the characters that we've got in it. I like the world. I like the opportunity with it. I'd like to get out of Poland. Not for no reason whatsoever. I'm sure Poland's lovely. I've never been personally, but I plan to. And just cross that border because we've been aiming it for a while. But I wouldn't put it in my tops, but I'm definitely playing it again. And another one, also Free League, The Walking Dead. Now I think The Walking Dead, I really like the abstraction from The Walking Dead. Now I know some people have taken The Walking Dead setting and they use the Twilight 2000 rules because they want the crunch. I quite like the abstraction in the rules for The Walking Dead. The solo play, it's not bad, but it feels like there's a bit of depth missing from within The Walking Dead, but it's still very enjoyable to play. The story is sometimes a bit hard to pull out, and other times the story flows, but the setting, everything, it's dark, and it flows you towards those dark places. But I think I just let Simon go wild, and it went really dark. So I've held back, but there's definitely going to be a series 2 of The Walking Dead. In fact, I'm probably going to start filming it within the next few days. It will be for members only, as a thank you to the members over 2025. But The Walking Dead is awesome. Definitely going to play it again, but it's not in my top 4. Dragonbane. Dragonbane, it took me a while to get into Dragonbane. There's also one which isn't in my top. It's very good. It took me some getting used to the system because you can't approach it like you would approach another fantasy system. And I think it was a good experience to do that. It's not Dungeons and Dragons. It is not Dungeons and Dragons by any way, shape or form. You have to think very laterally and you have to deal with things in a different way that Dungeons and Dragons does. You cannot just go charging in Dragonbane, in my experience, in my way. The solo system for Dragonbane, I think, needs a lot of work. I don't particularly like the waypoint part setting. In the surface, it seems okay, but it does feel a bit repetitive, and it goes. Some of the tables for the adjectives and the verbs are not as deep as they could be. Some of the ways of building out your things you encounter, like your rooms, your dungeons, could be more. It could be a handful of tables to do. So let's, for example, exploring a dungeon in Morkborg is so much more, using the solitary defilement, outstandingly deeper in one page of a zine type thing than that was for the solo game for Dragonbane. It felt attached on top. It didn't feel like it had as much depth or love to it, which is cool, but it means that there is space. I mean, in contrast, you've got the Book of Beats and the solo stuff for Forbidden Lands. That's so deep. It's so good. Even the tables for building adventure sites that are within the Forbidden Lands Game Master's Guide, so much deeper. That could have been in Dragonbane. Dragonbane could have had something like that. You can do it yourself. You can match it over because the setting for Dragonbane is awesome. The character classes, the artwork, the way the combat flows, really good. Even the character development, like the leveling with Dragonbane, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. It feels like a real slow development slog. If you just don't roll high on your D20 for when you're leveling, you might never go up in a skill, ever, just because you're not rolling enough. But it's still there, it still works. It's an old setting, it's old rules, it's been around for a while. It has a lot of love for it, as it should, because it was a competitor against Dungeons & Dragons at the time. Dragonbane basically came out as a Swedish spoken language Dungeons & Dragons. It's great, it's really good, but it doesn't hit the top. There are some things that you could improve with it, with Dragonbane. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is great, it's fantastic. It's not in my tops. It's an old system, it's a beautiful system. It's got the H.P. Lovecraft stories, it's got the Cthulhu mythos behind it. It's great. The Solo Investigator's Guide, I really like. I've spoken to multiple people. When I went to PAX, I talked to a few people about it. They find it really hard to use and to draw a story out of it. For some reason, it clicks with me great, and I love using it, and I love pulling that story out. The Solo Investigator's Guide, in my book, is a fantastic tool for Call of Cthulhu solo play. I played in 2023 a couple of the Choose Your Own Adventure. I've still got a couple on the shelf that I haven't played yet. I really like them, but I would prioritise the Solo Investigator's Guide and building my own story over them because of the prescriptive nature of those games. I mean, it is nicer because there is unknowns and you will kill yourself off, but a little short run using the Solo Investigator's Guide. Oh, there will be more Call of Cthulhu in 2025, dead set. But it's not in my top, but grab that Solo Investigator's game, grab the 7th edition Keeper's Guide and do yourself some Call of Cthulhu stories. Really go to town with the mythos and slaughter your main character in the most gory, unfair way you can think of. And it's a lot of fun. Call of Cthulhu, we will see more of, but it's not in my top 4. And of course, off the back of Call of Cthulhu, we have done a lot of free league games this year. Vaesen. I really quite like Vaesen. The solo play, I think, was all right. If the Blade Runner solo play plays anything like the Vaesen solo play, it should be pretty good. Investigation-wise, it helped do a nice short-run story. I don't know how a campaign would play out. I want to try doing a campaign. I also, whilst we're in Europe, the Britain and Ireland book. I would like to use that. So we will see some Vaesen in 2025. I want to do a short run in Britain or Europe using that book. Maybe the tail end when I am in Europe would be great. That would be really nice to do, particularly if it's in the winter. So the winter 2025, we might see Vaesen return. I like Vaesen. I like the setting. I like the idea of the Vaesen. I won't give anything away because if you play it as a GM of or as a player, there is some stuff about the Vaesen that you're not supposed to know. It's really good. There's a nice depth to it, there's a nice flow to it, and it feels very of the era and very evocative. If it was between playing Vaesen or Cthulhu, I think I'd choose Cthulhu, but I still would like to explore Vaesen a bit more, and it's a game system I know, and it's a world I want to explore a bit more of. But again, it's not in my top. And that's where we'll now move on to our top. So technically speaking, it's a top 4, but we do have a 5th mention. An honourable mention. I want to give an honourable mention to Frog Errant. Frog Errant, I think, for me, in 2024, was an absolute surprise. The Mouse Ritter game system, it's really beautiful. It looks quite cute, but it's actually quite hardcore, and it's quite full on and deadly, but it looks really quite sweet. The little mice with little needles for swords. Frog Errant, I mean, yes, I created the character of Salamorak from House Silver House, and it was part of the characterization that I put into it that I enjoyed. I like doing the voice and I like doing his demeanor, but the rules made that really easy. The gameplay of exploring like the little hex was quite fun. I didn't lose options. I didn't hit any doors, like any dead ends. I could have kept exploring places. The one-page adventure sites that you can get hold of for Mouse Ritter, you can switch into Frog Errant quite well, and they play really nicely because they're really old school, thin, little descriptions possible. You fill it out with your imagination. You have to come with your own imagination for things like Frog Errant. Mouse Ritter or Frog Errant, you need to come, but you're not pulling teeth trying to get that story out. You're flowing with it. As long as you hit those flows and you hit those points. Frog Errant for me needs a special mention, as that was a real surprise and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I designed a t-shirt for it that hasn't even sold a single one of. I'm probably going to close that down. Now, we're on to my top 4 for 2024. The top 4 games that I played in 2024, in no necessary order. I've got them in an order here, which I'm going to run through, but don't take this as being a 4, 3, 2, 1. That's not what it is. It just so happens that when you write things down, you write them in a list, starts at the top and goes to the bottom. So starting at the top of this list, no order, is the Dungeon Hero games. Dungeon Hero, which I've normally played as one-offs. I played some in 2023 for Talk Like a Pirate Day, and I think for something else, and I played them in Talk Like a Pirate Day again in 2024. Yes, it's Captain Pete, who I love. Captain Pete. Captain Pete, he doesn't half make me laugh, this Captain Pete. The way he goes through life and he chases down those women and they don't want nothing to do with him. I love Captain Pete. But the game just flows. A piece of A4 paper printed on one side, basically, folded up into a tiny little zine, which, I mean, I'm not getting any of these books out because it's too long, but I'll put pictures up. Tiny little zine, and then a D6, or a couple of some dice. You need 2 sets of dice, basically, of 2 different colours. And that's it. You've got a whole afternoon's fun, and I would definitely play Dungeon Hero again. I will play Dungeon Hero again as a special one-off. I mean, even then, it says in the book it takes like 10-15 minutes to play. It doesn't. You can fill a good couple of hours. You can fill an hour plus playing that game. I mean, you have to create your own story and have fun and go with it. But Dungeon Hero is fantastic value for money. Fantastic fun for a little thing. Like, the design is, great. Awesome. More people should play Dungeon Hero. And talking of Captain Pete, or Captain Pete, we have Pirate Borg. I really enjoyed Pirate Borg this year. Pirate Borg's coming back next year, dead set. I would prioritise Pirate Borg. But I like the characters. I like what I did with the characters. But the game just makes it so easy to play those characters. It is deadly, but it's such a farcical sort of world. It's the same as Morkborg. Morkborg Death Metal. The books are, beautiful. Morkborg particularly, but Morkborg was 2023. The Pirate Borg book is great, and I mean, even the artwork, I'm sure it's not supposed to be comical, but as far as I can see in my eyes, it just leans towards sort of comedy horror. It's really good. It flows well. It's supposed to be deadly. That's my one thing I don't particularly like about Morkborg and Pipeborg, is the setting is so evocative. It triggers so many good ideas that then to have your character sort of cark it after 20 minutes just doesn't seem that sort of intuitive in a world that's got so much love in it. But Pipeborg, I loved Pipeborg. That's definitely in my top 4 for this year. Playing Pipeborg, and the way that Captain Pete as a character just flowed in, and little Bates, no, little Master Bates, what a great character he was. And you know, we got excellent, everything, it just sort of flowed really nicely. I really enjoyed playing Pipeborg. Next on my list in my top 4 is one of the newest entries, and that is Forbidden Lands. I am quite surprised because it's hardcore fantasy. It's not sort of light fluffy fantasy like Dragonbane, which I enjoyed, or Morkborg, which I enjoyed, even though they're dark, but they feel light. Forbidden Lands is crunchy as all hell. Like, if you go deep into the combat with the slashes and the parries and the dodges and the talents and everything, it's quite crunchy. In fact, I am surprised by how crunchy it is, and again, I feel like I might not be doing it a service for the combat, but I really love the setting. The way it's a hex crawl, the way you move around the map has got those nice feels that I do like about Twilight 2000. The solo guide by Matt Kay within the Book of Beasts is excellent, and then if you get the solo expansion from Drive-Thru and you accommodate it, it really just fills it out, and the story flows. The way, I mean, so there's a 5-episode prequel that for the members only, that you can see the members only. That, even where Taylene is just exploring the plains, the weather goes bad, which creates story. She can't find things, it creates story. There's no monsters attacking her, there's no weird stuff coming along, but story flows just from those tables and pulling a deck of cards. It's so well constructed. Then, I mean, we haven't even got to explore any of the adventure site stuff yet, but we did with in the main story, as you would have seen, we've explored the Hollows as a village, and so I've recorded up to episode 3 in the main story, and so episode 4 will be recorded either today or tomorrow, which will be doing more of the Hollows. There's things to explore. The world feels full of adventure, chocked full of adventure, just over the next hill. And I think that's what you want as a solo player playing something. You don't want to be hunting around for it. You want it all to be there. There's so much material for it, and it is so evocative. Forbidden Lands has surprised me by how much I have just fallen for the new system. And just the way the characters work and the way it flows, I'm quite excited about it, Forbidden Lands. And finally, the game that we played in 2024, and I mean, this one is at the top, but it's not because it's anything, you know, better than anything else. It's purely because of my love for it and the way I've been trying to think about playing it. Nearly the whole of 2023 and most of 2024, I was talking about it. There were 2 that I talked about. One I didn't get to play, which was the Ghostbusters role-playing game, or Ghostbusters International, which is going to come in 2025. I'm going to try and work out how to do that. And the last one from 2024, which is in no particular order, but it's the one I've mentioned the most, and it probably stands out that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is, of course, Cyberpunk Red. Cyberpunk Red doesn't have any solo rules written for it, so there's none that I can find for Cyberpunk Red, which is why I am in the process of writing the GME for Cyberpunk as a genre, which hopefully will fill in those gaps. But I have really enjoyed re-engaging with the world of Cyberpunk. There are a few things with Red which I think are slightly different. So they have reduced some of the crunch from 2013, Cyberpunk 2013, which was the original, came out in the 1980s, and 2020, which came out in the 1990s. Both of those, so some of the combat crunch of the Friday Night Firefight has been withdrawn a bit. There seems to be, so some of the crunch around I mean, there were so many equipment books for Cyberpunk 2020. That seems to be withdrawn out a bit, which is all pretty cool. That is good stuff. And other changes, the net running seems a bit thinner. The Netrunner it seems to, like the way they've removed the internet and sort of pared it down a bit. I can understand why they did it. for party play and tactical play, and I think as a solo player I can sort of introduce stuff because nobody else is going to get bored when someone's doing the net run. The rest of the table isn't going to be sort of browsing the internet and thinking of other stuff to do because it's just me. But it still works and I really like it. I like the way that works. It's just, it feels a little more shallow than the 2020 version of net running felt. I know lots of people didn't understand the 2020 version of net running. I particularly did, so I felt it had a depth to it, and this one just feels a bit more shallow than the other ones did. But as a setting, Cyberpunk has just got so much. It would be an awful place to live. It would be a dystopian nightmare. But you can imagine yourself there, and all the places and the names, and it's just very evocative. Now, I will, as I just mentioned, I will write a GME for it. I've probably done a lot of that work by now, so I'm going to write a GME for it. I know there are various different tables you can get in various different places, but it's all very dispersed, and there's multiple books you have to buy to try and get these tables. So I'm going to write my own tables and build them into one book as a GME for the cyberpunk genre. It might have some cyberpunk red stuff in if they'll let me do that, but otherwise it will be no game specific. It will just be the cyberpunk genre GME because there's stuff missing that would be useful to have. And I've written my own tables and I'm just going to compile them into a book. I mentioned in 2024 I would write my own GME at some point because everyone always does that solo plays, and it ends up, yes, I will, and this is it. But yeah, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is the last one that I'm going to mention and that I've played in 2024, and we're still playing the Cyberpunk campaign because I really love that game. I really love that game. It got me back into painting miniatures because the combat does get more benefit if you have got a map. It got me to make some maps. I got a big screen so I could work out how to do the technical projecting instead of printing out maps or getting terrain. I really enjoyed Cyberpunk, and I think you have to put work into it at the moment because no one's written a GME for it. The beats chart makes it easier that I did, but yeah, I really love Cyberpunk. It's Cyberpunk, I think, out of 2024, I was going to name anything for 2024 as my overall top. I think if it's a fantasy genre, I would have to say Forbidden Lands. Sci-fi, I would have to say Cyberpunk Red. And any other, it would be a toss up between Twilight 2000 and Pirate Borg, but probably just for my love of Captain Pete, it would be Pirate Borg. And if I was going to say my favourite character of 2024, it's Captain Pete. It's got to be Captain Pete. And that's it, really. I think that's covered everything. It's a bit longer than I would normally do for one of these, but those would be my games of 2024, the games I played in 2024. Hopefully, looking forward to 2025 and what we can play in 2025. If there's anything that you think, oh, Pete, mate, you missed out playing this in 2024, you've got to stick this into your list for 2025, and then put that down. There's a couple of indie things that I want to play that I picked up at PAX and I still haven't had a chance to play yet. Small indie ones, I'm going to do some of those. There's someone reached out to me about a game that they're going to be pushing as a Kickstarter. I'm going to have a look at that and see if that will work for the channel. It's a mystery type thing. But yeah, there's going to be some stuff for 2025 that will be a bit different. Hopefully you liked that and I didn't witter too much. I mean, I don't know how long I was going for, but I didn't plan to do that long, but I think I've done quite a long time. But that's my games for 2024. Thank you so much for all your support over the last year. If you can support me in the year to come, I will be awfully, awfully grateful to you. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much, you beautiful, beautiful people, you. If you're not yet a subscriber, why not? It's such fun. All you got to do is hit a button and it's just down there. To the Adventurers Guild, you wonderful, wonderful people, you Adventurers Guild, thank you so much for all your support. Hopefully 2025 will bring us lots of new adventures and lots of new things to do. Thank you so much for your time. See ya.